In today's episode of CyberBytes, we're joined by Mariana Padilla, Community Evangelist at Harmonic Security, to discuss why community has become cyber's biggest competitive advantage. We dive into her accidental journey into cyber, lessons from building Hackerverse, how personal branding creates real business opportunities, and why the companies investing in trust, relationships, and authentic communities are the ones pulling ahead. Enjoy the show. Well, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome Mariana Padilla to the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on. I know it's been a long time coming. How are you?
I'm good. And thank you so much for having me. Really thrilled to be chatting with you today.
And we've got the pleasure of joining you in Bournemouth.
Absolutely. Live.
Trip down.
In person.
Tell me a little bit more about your trip in London, because I know that you've been in London this week. You've been doing a lot of cool stuff for Harmonic. So what have you been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for asking. So I guess it kind of ties to my title at Harmonic Security, which is Community Evangelist. And so what I always say is that we're really doing things differently at Harmonic because I feel like for such a technical industry that cybersecurity is, it still very much runs on relationships and trust building. And so the best way to obviously build trust is through community and through those like human relationships. So that is why I was in London. We had the kickoff party for our AI security community at Hijingo last night, which was a ton of fun. Bringing together AI leaders, security engineers, CISOs, some investors in the space, just a broad arrangement of people very interested in kind of building and breaking AI and a lot of the challenges around that. So it was the kickoff party for that community.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So talk to me a little bit more about your journey into cyber, because I know that before you had a marketing agency and then you've done a lot of different things. So I'd love to hear more about how you kind of got into the space. Like, was it a coincidence? Was it like planned? Or how did you end up here?
Totally accidentally, or on accident, whichever way is the best way to say that. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people in cyber kind of like, bumble their way into into cybersecurity. It's not necessarily like a path they set out to choose. But I, at the time, had my own marketing agency where I was focused on kind of content, email, social media marketing for what I called like values-based business owners, people who were really interested in like or had values around sustainability or social justice or whatever, but it was mostly small business owners. And actually met my co-founder at a content marketing meetup. Mm-hmm. He told me about what he was building, which was essentially a try before you buy platform for cybersecurity. And I got the value immediately because I had so many challenges purchasing software for my clients, like marketing software, obviously not as technical as cybersecurity, but it was just my belief that you shouldn't have to get on a sales call or put in your credit card or like do any of this just to like essentially touch, feel, and use the software and test it out before you have to buy it or any, whatever. So I got the value proposition immediately. And I think cyber is very, very difficult to sell. I mean, it's difficult to buy, but it's also very difficult to sell. Sales cycles are very lengthy. There's a lot of touch points. There's a lot of challenges. And so got it immediately, initially came on as an advisor, really, really loved the work, really loved the industry, and then became CEO. Did that for about 3 years. I call it founder hell, 3 years of founder hell. Ups and downs, obviously there were some highlights along the journey, but the opportunity to move to Harmonic presented itself, and they were looking for someone who had a background in community building, which I did. That was something that was, ultimately one of the reasons why Hackerverse, my startup, was successful for so long was we had a very engaged community. Mm-hmm. People knew about what we're doing. We did a lot of events. And so I had that background. That's what they were looking for. So here we are.
Yeah. Awesome. And I know, just touching on your marketing agency, did you start in COVID? Because I feel like when I did my research, I was like, that's wild. Like, what was the challenge there? Was it easier because obviously it's more of an online thing? Or did you find that when everybody was like locked down, there was difficulties there? Like, what was the kind of motivation?
This was also an accidental journey.
Yeah, that's a theme.
yeah, this seems to be a theme. So I was in Cincinnati. I had moved to Chicago. And in Cincinnati, I was in nonprofit, which there's a place in the world for nonprofit. My place is not in nonprofit. I had
Yeah.
a lot of
Okay.
challenges with it. And so when I moved to Chicago, I was looking for more marketing roles, marketing based roles, because I had done some storytelling work at the nonprofit I was at in Cincinnati. And so I would say the storytelling is kind of like a theme in everything I have done. And I
Yeah.
truly believe that like the better you are at telling a story, the more successful you're going to be, like no matter what you do. And so moved to Chicago, and like all the jobs that I was interviewing for evaporated because COVID
Mm-hmm.
happened. So I was like, well, I guess I need to figure this out because I need a paycheck, right? So I started freelancing and then built my agency from there.
Yeah, amazing. And obviously, you just mentioned like storytelling there. You must have talked to a lot of different audiences doing what you've done. How does your storytelling approach change, like depending on the industry and then obviously going into cyber?
Yeah. I would say maybe not even like I would say storytelling itself, but I always start like just by listening. I think is like half the battle, and like understanding people's challenges and being able to, you know, process all of that. And so like when I did start at Hackerverse, one of the first things we did was just a ton of customer discovery.
Yeah.
And I actually kicked off something I called 100 meetings in 100 days, where I was just like, I'm gonna like network the shit out of this. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know, talk to a ton of people in the industry, which is like how we got to know each other, because I
Yeah.
reached out to Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again how we got connected. But during those calls, I just used it as an opportunity to learn more about the industry, learn about people's challenges kind of on both sides. I never tried to sell anyone anything. So or pitch or whatever. So it's just getting to know people, and I'm very grateful. A lot of those people are still like in my life as, you know, friends and allies and whatever. So I think part of it just comes back to being able to just like really understand people and
Yeah.
where they're coming from. So that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah, of course. And does some of that obviously translate into the role that you're in now? Obviously, being like in a community role, do you have what is the value of networking, would you say, to people that are maybe new to the industry or like looking to kind of grow their own sort of brand or personal brand or however it may be?
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe not just exclusive to cyber, but I feel like it's not something that maybe comes naturally to
No,
people in
I'm like as
cyber.
stiff as anything. I remember I think the first conference is when I met you and I was like, I don't know what to say. Help me. Like it's so hard. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you know, even especially like sometimes like very, very technical people, social skills are
Yeah.
not their forte.
Hmm.
But I would say, I guess it goes back to the commentary that I started with. For such a technical industry, it runs on trust and human
Yeah.
relationships. So if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard to break into the market. It's going to be very, you know, hard to move up the ladder. You know, you have to have those relationships and build those relationships and have, you know, somewhat of a presence in order for, you know, you to achieve your goals, whatever those may be. I think the thing that I say a lot, and that, you know, rings true for a lot of people, is like being top of mind when
Hmm.
opportunities arise, right? So, you know, building those relationships, maintaining those relationships, like always giving first. And, you know, like then once you have built and maintained those relationships for long periods of time, then you can cash in on them, right? And you're also top of mind for like exactly like when I got my role at Harmonic. It was like Ollie was like, oh, they're looking for something, you know, like Mariana's been, you know, in my world for a long time. This could be a perfect opportunity. So building relationships, maintaining those relationships, giving first, and having some sort of presence, I think is really, really important. Because there's, you know, if you think about how you're a recruiting agency, like how many resumes you get
Yeah.
for
Like
jobs, hundreds, right?
yeah.
And a lot of them are going to be so similar. There's no distinguishing factor, right?
Hmm.
So if you have like a presence on YouTube or a home lab, or you can like talk about ways you're continuing to grow your career, or like, you know, express your, you know, passion for what it is you're doing, those are the things that are going to stand out to people for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So cybersecurity marketing, I think, can sometimes get the bad rep of maybe being boring or that it's not as easy as obviously stereotypical like B2C
Yeah.
marketing. What do you think that the industry is doing right? And what do you think that maybe they're doing wrong that potentially people and like Harmonic can kind of break through and talk to people in a better way?
So I think for a long time, the industry's relied on product marketing first and only.
Yeah.
Right? Like product specifications and whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, you still have to explain to people why the hell they should care.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like you can give them all these product specifications, and having been in the founder life and listened to so many like just god awful pitches, right? Of just founders being like, we can do X, Y, and Z. It's like, dude, no one cares. So I would say if you are building an entire marketing strategy around product marketing, that's, I would say, a losing proposition. One thing I would say Harmonic is doing really, really well, and if something that I'm even kind of new to is like the demand gen space, and having like a demand gen engine is super, super important. But I was really excited to have the work with a company that understood the vision and value of relationship building and community, and that they were willing to put dollars behind that. And so I think the companies that double down on community, that double down on relationships and trust building are going to be the ones that win in the future.
Yeah.
I would also say that like brand is huge too. And we're starting to see more and more companies like Torque. We were just talking about Torque earlier. And obviously like they're kind of like the darlings of like cybersecurity brand marketing specifically. So having a brand presence that, sets you apart, right? So even starting like the colors, right? So everyone does like black, blue, purple,
I feel like
right? Like okay, or like maybe not so much purple, but I have seen a lot of purple, or like red, or the locks and the hoodies and the like, what, it's just like so overdone, right? So I think doing things differently, and I love working with our brand director. We started on the same day. We are like kismet, like we get on really, really well, see things very similarly, and she's done a really good job of building our brand, and I'm excited to see kind of what she's going to continue to do in the future with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was going to have to say, like, Harmonic's logos and stuff, they're so different, like what's currently on the market, which I think is like what is visually so interesting about the brand, like from the word go, but obviously everything behind that is a massive feat as well. But
so she did a rebrand that was finished about 3 months after she joined, so towards the end of the year. And if you look on the eye, it's like a little guitar pick. And so like obviously the name Harmonic, and there's a musical reference, but I think it's kind of going back to the roots. So I don't know if they met this way, but Al and Brian, our founders, were in a band together.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So when we actually sent out Christmas cards this year, it was like from their band days.
Oh my god, I love that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they were in a band. And so I do love that. Like it's literally like history in the name.
Yeah, 100%. So you're somewhat of a cybersecurity influencer, if you don't mind me saying.
Okay. Some people get so offended.
No, I think it's cool. Like I feel like because I feel like it's fairly new to the space, like having the whole like influencer marketing and that sort of rap. And obviously you have almost 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. Was building that community something that you meant to do? Or again, was it something that kind of happened over time and you were like, wow, there's massive value in this? Like what brought you to where you are today?
So initially it just started off with the networking piece of things, I think. And then and I'm just trying to remember, because again, it was not like I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to create content. And like, I to this day have like almost no content strategy.
Yeah. Just go with the flow.
Like, I know what people like. I know,
But people like you. And I think that's the thing that makes you different, is they're like buying into you as a person rather than like someone's overall.
Right. Yeah. And so then I guess the strategy is to be as authentic as possible. So I just kind of enjoy sharing about the journey. And, I think there was an eye-opening moment like along the way where I posted just about like a venture capital just being like horrifically mean to me. Like he was so mean, and people were so kind, and like there's ways to get feedback without being mean. Like it was really I would say maybe like an inflection point about like not just sharing the good things along the way, because I think people want to be there for the journey, right? So I think if you're considering posting content and you're just like, I don't know, just like post, right? And I would say make it a habit. I do think that at some point I did start being like, okay, I'm going to start posting every day, or like every weekday or whatever, just to kind of like get the momentum rolling. And now it's not a situation where I have to. So authentic content. I do have like if you kind of think about content in different buckets, right? I have like the human connection content. I'll have like thought leadership content. I'll have a variety of different kind of ideas and topics that I tap into and try to share. But I would say just, if you're thinking about start, right? Which is some of the best advice I ever got when I was, starting my agency. It was just like, you just got to do it. Right. Like you can't think about it. You just got to like do it. And so I had like an Instagram live series at one point in time for my agency. And it ended up becoming like one of like, the best ways to like meet potential clients. So, it's definitely, like I said, even if you're looking for a job or whatever, like having some sort of portfolio or a way for people to get to know you, I think is, really, really important. But, now I get to like post on Hinge things like my favorite Haribo on LinkedIn and people like lose their mind. It's kind of fun.
Do you think people respond better to that sort of stuff as well? Like the things
100%.
that aren't the sea of sameness on LinkedIn.
Right, 100%.
Like the unhinged, more like, oh my God, I get this sort of vibe. Yeah. And I feel like people know you for being like the queen of the cool glasses or like the cool shoes. Like I feel like you own that space, which is awesome. And I think if I mention you to people, they're like, oh my God, yeah, I've seen her. Like, she's cool. So yeah, it's cool. And I think that one of the things that I've come across in my role is that a lot of people struggle with building their personal brands on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I think that like personal branding has almost become a little bit of like a buzzword. Like, oh, well, you've got to have a personal brand. What do you think that you're doing differently? Or maybe like founders, or especially in the early stage, are kind of missing out there or potentially losing on like business because they're not putting enough effort into that.
Yeah, 100%. And my personal brand was our biggest source of inbound at Hackerverse. I would say find your differentiating factor. It did become the glasses. Like I just liked them and I thought they were fun and cool. Like at some point glasses became cool again. Like when I was young and had like the horrific, like tragic, like
people
giant
have blue light glasses now just to wear glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's cool.
So that became a differentiating factor. But honestly, it was like, I guess because I have a touch of the autism, a touch of the tism, like coming down the escalator into Moscone, right? Like into the expo hall. And it's just like a sea of like navy blue quarter zips.
Or the, like, what they call the Patagonias.
Yes.
Everyone's wearing
and khaki. And it was like, there's a massive opportunity for disruption here. So then I started wearing like hot pink, like the outfit choices got more extreme and continued to get more extreme like every year. Because it was like something that people like noticed and stood out. And at the time, because we worked with startups, I was pitching them on the floor. And it was like, oh yeah, I remember you because you came by and we talked about your glasses, and like honestly it just became like even a good conversation starter. So then I didn't even have to like, have like that weird awkward like opening line or whatever. So I do talk about this. I've talked about personal branding on it, like when I do conferences and stuff, and it's like find your thing, whether it's like there's someone who goes to like DEF CON and always wears like dolphin Hawaiian shirts and like that's their thing. Like it does not need to be glasses, not like whatever your thing is, like have that, be whatever you're known for. Like I don't know if you are a Darknet Diaries listener, but Jack Resider, the host, has like his bandana he wears on his face, and so like whenever he wants to go incognito, he just takes it off because people don't know who he is. Like so it's whatever that looks like for you.
Awesome. Do you think that there's a difference between building like a community versus building a following? Because I think that sometimes there can be a misconception there that they're the same thing. Like what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. My take is that like the difference is that I actually want to know who is following me, like have relationships with them. Right. So it's not just having, 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. Like I really try to get to know as many of them as possible. As long as like they're willing to. And so having virtual coffee or like I'll connect them at conferences or whatever. And then I also tend to think of myself as like a super connector. So I will like, like, oh, you need to know X, Y, and Z, right? So it's not just me getting to know that person. It's like, you also need to know this person. So I would say that like opening doors opens doors, right? So you have access to my network, and then I'll have access to their network, and then, you know, their network, whatever, right? So eventually the Venn diagram becomes a circle or whatever.
Yeah, completely. And I can't be on this podcast without talking about how you met Joe and Ollie and how that in turn kind of went into your role at Harmonic.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more, because I don't think I know the full story about how you met Joe and then Ollie, and then it kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, so it was the 100 meetings in 100 days. I was just trying to get to know as many people in cyber as possible. I literally think Aspiron had just started. I had seen Joe on LinkedIn. And I was just like, hey, like, let's do virtual coffee. Like, I'm not trying, I think the message was like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Like, I just enjoy getting to know people in cyber. So, he accepted this random message from this strange lady he didn't know. We hit it off. We met up at RSA. And then it was like, funnily, we kept running into each other like all day, every day. I was like, oh, there you are again. Right. And then that's how I got to know Ollie, and Ollie and I just became very, very close friends. And it's just so good relationship there. And then kept them in the loop of like everything that was going on with Hackerverse. There were several times I reached out and was like, I need out. And, you know, it just wasn't, you know, didn't work out. But like, they connect me with a team at Harmonic at Black Hat this last year, initially for a brand role. And I was like, this is not like, I'm like, I cannot execute on this. This is not for me. But my VP of marketing, Mike Marriott, was like, yeah, we're looking for someone who, he's like, I've also been noodling on this idea for like field marketing, but I need someone who has a community like based like approach to that. And I was like,
you found the guy.
Yeah. He's like, you found me. Like, you know,
and correct me if I'm wrong, did you guys meet at our suite party? Because I feel like there was like Alistair, Toby, there was a couple of other.
I think they might have been there, and I just didn't know them.
Oh,
at
so
the
that
time.
wasn't the like.
No,
okay,
that's
me. That's me.
Yeah. So, no, it was like a meeting, and it went really well. Right out of the gate, Mike and I hit it off. And we're like two peas in a pod. We're like, I call the marketing team the hive mind.
Yes,
because I know, because there's constantly I'm like, oh, I have an idea, and I'll tell Maya. She's like, oh, I was thinking the exact same thing. So we are always on the same wavelength, it seems like. So I met Mike, and then he had me come back the same day to meet Alistair. And then I did like a virtual call with Brian like 2 weeks after that. And it was a very quick process. And it was great. And they're just, we were talking about this earlier, just like lovely, wonderful human beings who have created a team of lovely, wonderful human beings I really enjoy working with. So, that nurturing of relationships for 3 years. I was finally able to cash in on it. 100% is a long game. I talk about it like farming, like you plant your seeds and you tend to your seeds and you water your seeds in those relationships. And then at some point in time, you get to cash it in. But I think the mistake they make when they're doing networking is when they need a job, they start networking. It's like you're behind the 8 ball. Right. Like, you know, you gotta do this from the start. You have to be very thoughtful about it. So, I would also say like, you know, not that this has ever like been an issue for me, but like, just like don't burn bridges. Like it's such a small industry and people talk.
Small. Everybody knows everybody. Like for an industry that should be so big.
Everyone knows everyone, right? Well, and I mean, you have like serial founders starting companies, and they bring their teams along with them. So, you know, just like something to be mindful of.
Yeah, completely. And you touched on it a bit then, but what specifically was it about Harmonic that you were like, like this is the place that I need to be? Like, was it a culture? Like, what was it that kind of pushed everything over the edge for you?
Yes, it was definitely the culture. And Mike saw the vision for like a community-based approach from the very, very beginning. So it wasn't just going to be traditional field marketing. We're not just like going off to FutureCon and doing booths. It's like, how can we really create memorable events? How can we build long-lasting relationships? Like, how can we like leave a positive, lasting impression in people's mind, like of Harmonic, not just of the product, but of the people. So he got that. instantly, and like is something that he had been thinking about. And there were several times during the interview where I was saying things and he just like looked over at Al. He's like, this is what we've been saying. Like, so it was like we were speaking the same language from the very, very beginning. And they wrote the job description like for me.
That's
like
so cool. Like that's like a dream. Like that's...
Oh, 100%. It was the perfect off ramp from founder hell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dissing on like being a founder. Like it was I learned so much and grew, but it was like so incredibly difficult. And anybody will tell you that. It's just a journey, right?
100%. And where do you see things going kind of for yourself, but also for Harmonic in the future? Like, have you guys got anything that you can share, or is it like at the moment in the works? Like, what sort of things are you doing to disrupt the industry?
Yeah, so I think the AI security community is huge. That's probably like my primary focus right now. Is continuing to grow that. I really want us to be seen as like the central hub for security for AI.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we know this about like CISOs, and we know this about practitioners. Like anytime they need product recommendations or they're looking for help, they go to their community, they go to their WhatsApp, they go to their Slack, hubs, whatever. And so if we can be that central source of people sharing knowledge and connecting and asking questions, and it's like, it's a longer tail play, right? And thankfully Al and Brian and Mike get that, and it hasn't been like we need to see like immediate pipeline, because that's not the game, right? But like really being the central hub for the people in this space who are really trying to figure this out, because everything's changing so quickly. So if we can be the central, trusted hub for security for AI, that's the vision. But I would say, I mean, I have a lot of ideas for events. Like I love like kind of like different like guerrilla marketing, experiential marketing is something I'm really passionate about. So I'm excited to be able to kind of continue to play in that space for a while.
Yeah, of course. And I can't have you on without speaking about the Cyber UK flywheel that you guys did, because that was amazing. And the feedback that I've heard, not just obviously from Joe and Ollie, but from other people, was like incredible. So how did that kind of idea come about, and obviously executing it and stuff that went behind it?
Yeah, so this is a passion of Al's. So he really believes that for like the UK has incredible talent, it has really brilliant people, but lags behind US and Israel in terms of cyber companies and investment, and the number of companies who are able to like succeed and go global, and kind of like really understanding like why that is, and trying to change that dynamic. And so Cyber Flywheel is all about that, bringing together the people who can really help move the flywheel faster, right? Help these companies succeed more. And so we did our second one April 9th. And it is really great to see the community come together. This isn't like a prime example of like community like at its finest, right? So people coming together to solve a problem and help move the space forward. So that is what that is all about. The next one will probably be in the fall sometime, I think. Stay tuned for more information on that. We're actually have a planning meeting in 2 weeks about that. But I think we need not that it was anything wrong, but like we had panel discussions. It was great. It was a day of learning and connecting and all of that kind of stuff. But now I think it's like rubber meets the road. Like we need to like have some sort of unconference where it's like hacking out ideas and brainstorming and like really putting together plans for like how we can get these companies succeed at a quicker rate, whether that's like changing governmental policies, which obviously that's the whole can of worms. But like getting more VCs to invest in companies, or like I think there's also the challenge, like the cultural challenge, which I hadn't even thought of like until I started working with a UK company, which is like the tall poppy syndrome, right? Where it's like you stand out above the crowd and then you get cut down. And I like was unaware of like the very contentious relationships with like press. And so I think there's a lot of work that can be done there, and I think that would be very, very helpful. But like one of the lines I said, like the first flywheel was like, y'all need to just get a little bit more unhinged up in here, because like he like the like British stiff upper lip. I'm like, no, like,
that's not how we do things.
No, you gotta be like super proud and like brag about what you're doing. You have incredible technology. Like, don't wait to like bring it to investor until like you have it complete. Like, Americans are out here bringing like ideas on the back of napkins and getting like $50 million for that shit. Like, no, like if you have the idea, if you have the potential, like, go for it. Lots of things to work on, and I think that the commitment is there. It's crazy because people like lose their minds to get into this event. It is wild. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, so I've heard it was but kudos to you, because that's amazing. I think, like you said, there's definitely that maybe culture thing in the UK where it is people are quite reserved or like don't want to give too much away. So the fact that you've got people literally queuing to get in is like a massive kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Wow. And as our new adopted Brit, what would you say your favourite thing is about the UK, or like the culture? Is it the pubs? Is it
the pubs?
Is it the Guinness? Like, what is it you kind of love the most now that you are working for a UK company?
Yeah. I would say I love the sarcasm, to be clear.
It's like it's ruthless.
Yeah, and I get it immediately, and it's just like, I really enjoy working with our UK team members. They're just a hoot, and it's like fun to be able to see things from different perspectives and like be able to experience the UK, which I hadn't been to the UK at all before, like the first flywheel. That was my first time, and first time out of London.
Is
it? It is, yeah.
Oh wow, okay. We're going to show you the time. We'll show you the beaches.
It's right. Yeah,
there's much more to the UK than London.
Oh yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to explore more of that, but yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of different and varied cultures in the US, across, but it's I love the different opinions around things and just getting to kind of experience that.
Yeah, completely. Well, to finish it off, I would love for you to give us an unhinged hot take on the industry, whether it be marketing, whether it be AI, whatever you want to say. What's kind of something that you're like, either you love, you hate, like what is your take on the way that the industry is going currently?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, and I don't know if it's unhinged, but I think we're just seeing such rapid advancements in the AI space. I would say beware, because there's a lot of snake oil out there. I talk about like VC investment practices a lot, and how there's just a lot of shady stuff out there. And when you are expecting 10x investments or 10x your investment in like 3 to 5 years or something like that, I think it leads to a lot of bad behavior. So if I were to say anything, I wish that, VCs would invest more for the long term, right? So it's like grow at a sustainable pace that's not like breakneck, that requires cutting corners and shady business practices and like all sorts of underhandedness. So we really do ourselves a disservice as an industry when we do that, because like we're supposed to be the good guys, like protecting, people from like bad actors and threat actors on the internet. And when companies invest in products that don't do what they say they're going to do, right? Like we are doing ourselves a disservice. So that would be my take on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so glad that we finally got you on after many rescheduling. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, super fun to chat. Always happy to. So thrilled to be here today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.